Hey guys, so this is my first ever battle in Warhammer Total War online battles, and I just want to point out that the battle took place at 5 AM in the morning, and I did make a few tactical mistakes. So without further ado, enjoy the battle. So it's a 2v2 match, and there's myself as the Dwarfs, and my ally is playing Chaos versus Beastmen and Lizardmen. Thankfully, we spawned on the map Oak of Ages, and we got the perfect advantage in terrain. We got the high ground, so you can imagine how defensible you can play that. Using the paint tool, I'm going to use the green one to indicate my own positions. So that'll just show you where I've positioned my troops, and you will see my tactical errors come into play later on. As Chaos, then he tries to flank them on the left, whereas I take the brunt of the army. They're both armies, yeah, which was fun to say the least, apart from my little tactical error. But it worked in our favour because the Lizardmen had a very good opening and faltered, or I don't know, just wasn't really up to the challenge of pushing, really. You can see the Beastmen army and the Lizardmen army have decided to spawn, well, place more of their troops more to my side, so that'd be the right hand side of the map, trying to make a big push onto my troops. But yeah, dwarfs are quite tanky, and I've been peppering them now with artillery since the start to try and coax them into me, while leaving as little pressure as I possibly can on my ally, so he can actually come in and flank them from the left hand side, pushing them more into my wall of immovable, strong death. As you can see, and the more they push, you will see how much my Dowie will take the fight to them and absolutely wreck their full frontal assault. You can see the lizard men are pushing more and more to the edge of the map, so they're going to bring their whole troops that direction and try and come in and flank me. You'll see that later on in the battle. So as you can see, the Beastmen now are getting sick of being peppered by my heavy artillery, so they're starting to push into my center defensive line, which is met by a lot of, I suppose you could call them satchel charges, or just high explosive death before they actually get to the heavily armored dwarf line. So they're constantly being peppered by explosive and artilleries, battery fire. So I could only imagine how annoyed he was trying to come up against my troops. But yeah, it didn't really work out well for him, mainly because his ally was quite inefficient at knowing when to push and taking the advantage. So that's basically where they went wrong there. So it was at this moment that my tactical error came into play. I didn't notice that my Iron Drakes had skirmish on, so they started running away at the start, and I was like, oh shit, what's going on? What's going on? So I took off skirmish and put them into the front, but yeah, they got swarmed because the Lizardman player decided now was his time to take the push, but I kind of seen it coming then, so I sacrificed my Iron Drakes just to hold them off a little longer so I could deal with the Beastmen just that more. But his monster infantry was taking a toll on them, and plus his big T-Rex thing was absolutely making bits of my Thunderers. So, my two Iron Drakes faltered, so they started running away, and as you can see, he had a perfect line now. He could have pushed me very hard, and he could have won the game, but he just stood there, waiting. I don't know what the hell was going on. He just kept there, while my Chaos started advancing. Chaos friends started advancing from the left flank, and start pushing into them now, and they're going to reinforce my line. So I start moving an iron iron breakers up to the front there to reinforce my line to keep it together. So I start focusing my artillery then now onto the lizardmen to keep some pressure on them from rushing into me. And as you can see, at the moment it works slightly as my iron breakers are coming up and getting ready to hold the line. So this was the critical moment when he could have pushed and he could have absolutely panzerschrecked me completely, rolled me over, flanked me, got in behind and crushed my lines. He would have had the beastmen on one side and him coming up the back, and he just would have sandwiched me, and that would have been me out of the game. But he hesitated, kept his troops in the back, and only started to push towards the late game when it was over for him. Well, it wasn't necessarily over for him, but it was over for the beastmen. The beastmen were totally wrecked at this point. So my gamble paid off. Now I did lose some units, but I still retained a tiny little amount of iron drakes, which became very beneficial in the end. Same with a Thunderer's unit. The majority of them were kind of wiped out, but they retained enough fighting power to help with winning the rest of the battle. So we reinforced the line, and the lizardmen decided that they'll try again. So they came back for another full frontal assault, but I started pounding them with what was left of my artillery. Well, there was quite a few of my units left, but they happened to have run out of ammo. So Chaos is then moving up from the left and swinging around, as you can see, and they're also coming in on the right hand side too. So we're gonna try and like swarm them. So the beastmen actually have routed, and basically they're starting to run away, so we can put more focus on the lizardmen at the moment, deploying all the assets. And you can see his general is in the front there, trying to bolster what support he has left of the leadership, and trying to sway things his way, but you know, a little too late. He waited too long to instigate his final attack, and should have took the opportunity when he had an open door. So yeah, that's all his fault that they lost. They could have actually won if he actually pressed the advantage when he had it, but sadly he didn't. And you can see some of the beastmen in the background there have actually regained leadership and are coming back in to try and put pressure on our rear. But there's a chaos unit down there just keeping them tied up at the moment, so we can keep pressure on top of the lizardmen. So the lizardmen are getting swamped, but as you can see, the chaos unit is now gone. So I brought up the white dwarf to try and go after their general. I can't really think of the name of the general at the moment, so yeah, that's my problem, my fault, me being dumb. But yeah, so the beastmen are now pulling back into the fight and trying to rush me as quick as they can, because my units have taken severe casualties, but my line held, my main line held. So they're coming in now for basically their final assault. As you can see, there's more units routing, and the game is over at this point. It's just a mop-up, cleaning up situation. So as you can see, the Lizardman General is fleeing, so their army's kaput, they're gone. And it's just down to the final few units that actually still have leadership to press an attack, and it's just mop-up. As you can see, it's just total chaos, no pun intended there, on the battlefield. Plenty of corpses from just utter destruction from artillery barrages and the magic that has been going on. Like, some crazy spells have been blasted on my troops, and vice versa. But yeah, now it's basically the final few seconds of the game, and I'm bringing in the White Dwarf to try and wreck the Beastmen General. But as you can see, I'm looking at my organ gunners, and I'm like, are they going to fire? Are they going to kill him? But yeah, so I go back in, and this is it now. Game over. Job done. GG's. High fives all around. thanks for watching. If you have any comments on how I played, like any tips or suggestions, or where I could have done better, please let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like me to do more of these, please let me know below. Thanks again for watching. See you guys.